Welcome to Dr. Horta's Tomato Day.
The day begins by cutting the tomatoes. We've had 34 boxes and we want to get as many as about 260 bottles. The tomatoes are washed, then cut into quarters and then prepared for the strainer. It takes a lot of hands to do this, and at times it can take up to a half a day. The next part of the process is taking the tomatoes and straining them, and that's usually done twice, as you can see here. One half goes into an empty container and reused and gone through the machine again, and the other goes through a pillowcase, which we use to strain the tomato. The next step is the bottling of the tomato. And in between, as you can see, we've prepared fresh tomato for our lunchtime meal. We place the tomato sauce in that large plastic container. We use a pot, fill up the bottles about 1.5 inches below, seal them. The bottles have all been washed in a dishwasher, but without, and been sterilised without any detergent. Finally, what is important is the placement of the tomato bottles inside the barrels, which we fill up with water, and then we bring to a boiling point. As you can see that it's boiling there. Then we add another 1.5 hours to that process. Finally, it's what the remnants, whatever is left, we're able to make belde or concentrate, if you like.
Pillowcase, we'll drain it for 2 days, and the next process will be to slowly bring it to a boil over 2-3 hours and turn every 10 minutes. And once all the water evaporates from there, then we put it in the oven, again very low heat, where we then put salt and we stir it again, and by the end of a couple of hours it should be ready. It'll cool off and put it in a jar, cover it with olive oil, and then you have tomato concentrate, which is known as belde.
Even was planning on coming to each today.
Welcome to episode 4, which we'll also be looking at olive making. My olive tree produces 4 types of olives: the super jumbos, the green jumbos, the small green ones, and the dark brown or black olives. Each one needs to be cut separately. So the green ones are usually cracked or smashed, or spasta as they say in Greek. The 2 jumbo types need to be slit or scored, if you like, 3 times to ensure that the bitterness can come out. And the black ones are also scored 2-3 times for the bitterness to come out. Once these olives are ready, and you'll know that by the fact that the small ones may go black or brown fairly quickly, the green ones should have a lemony type of colour, so halfway that means that they're ready. Same with the jumbos, they take a lemony type of colour, and some of the other olives can be in between. It's around April, early April, that olives are generally ready. The next step in the process is you get a large pot, and I've shown you in the Horta videos that we've seen in the past. I place 1.5 kilos of rock salt. I bring that to a boil, I leave that overnight, and once it cools, I place each of the olives in separate areas so that we can distinguish them. And then I pour the cooled down salt water in each jar that I've created. On top of that, I put olive oil and rock salt so there's no bacteria going into the olives. As you can see to my right, these are the olives that we've collected over 2 years. The lower base is olives that we picked this year. The middle is mixture, and the above are olives that I need to take from salted water, wash them, and then place them in olive oil. I leave them for a month and then they're ready. I know many people use different types of ways to make olives, but that's the way that I'm used to it. So I usually leave the olives, once they're picked and placed into brine, for 1 entire year. But I have olives from the previous year so the cycle can go on. And this is what they'll look like. These olives are from last year. They're nearly a month old now, and they're edible and they're ready to go. I'll be doing that with all the others as well, and having plenty of olives, at least 10 jars for the whole year. Hopefully, next year this time, we'll be able to dedicate an entire program and show the practical aspects of olives. But given that we had the opportunity, we thought in this episode 4, we'd do the tomatoes and the olives at the same time. But join us again, hopefully for episode 5, with more Agri Horta in midwinter.